with the main event. Bobby Green stepping in at plus 325 against Grant Dawson at minus 425. Grant Dawson, 29 years of age, 5'10", and you see the record there, 21-1. Over under 4.5 rounds, plus 170 for the over, minus 210 for the under. Bobby Green coming off the win over Tony Ferguson, where he was a big favorite. Now he's going to come in as a pretty sizable underdog in this one. You see the age difference there, 8 years younger is Grant Dawson. Bobby Green been around for a very long time. Should be an interesting matchup because we know Grant Dawson's ground game. We saw it in his last fight against Damir Ismagulov. Super dominant when it comes to that. And then on the feet, he just probably going to be outmatched on the feet against Bobby Green. The boxing is always super good. A lot of volume he's going to throw at you. Not the biggest power puncher, but that pace can get to these guys. And it definitely got to Tony Ferguson. Get to round 2, round 3. He just started piecing them up. So if you're Grant Dawson, it really comes down to you're probably not going to want to mess around on the feet. Just go to the ground and do what you do there. But it's 5 rounds. So if you can't get him out of there early, we're getting into the late rounds, and it could get dicey as a big favorite. But who are you thinking in this one?
Yeah, it is a really interesting fight because stylistically, when you got Green with the excellent striking, he's fast, he's elusive. And then you got Grant Dawson with the excellent wrestling and grappling where he can just absolutely control and grind guys down. Just looking at Grant, though, the one thing I really, really like about him and how he's kind of developed as a UFC level fighter is when he came into the UFC, like he doesn't have a big name. He's not talking shit. He doesn't have that style where he's getting these crazy knockouts where everybody sees his highlight reel. And I think that is kind of a benefit to him. And it's kind of allowed him to come into the UFC, take things slow. Like he starts off with Julian Erosa, Mike Trezano, Derek Minner, Leonardo Santos, and then gets into Jared Gordon and Mark Madsen and Damir Ismagulov and just keeps winning and winning and getting better and better. Like he didn't have to rush into the top 10. He didn't have to rush into these big fights against, these top level guys quite yet. And I think that's just a benefit to him. His grappling is super, super good. I think everybody knows that by now. And if they didn't, then the Damir Ismagulov fight probably turned people on to how good it really is. Because Ismagulov's a guy who's 24-2 with a almost flawless record. And then he went in there and just dominated him, which was really, really impressive. Bobby Green, last fight submits Tony Ferguson, showed that he can grapple as well. He's always had some decent wrestling in his back pocket, but he's a striker first, and he's really good on the feet as well. I just wish this was a Bobby Green of maybe like 4 to 5 years ago. I feel like Bobby, not that he's lost a step or he's getting slower, but I think some of these younger guys are just going to cause problems closing the distance, especially a guy like Dawson, who once he gets his hands locked, he's big, he's strong, and he's more than likely going to drag you down to the ground. And even if Bobby can stuff some of these takedowns early or throughout the fight, it's only going to take that one takedown in each round to really, I think, for Grant Dawson to be able to get on the ground and do some work because his control is that good. And if Bobby, tries to get up like he has in the past, he's really good at getting back to his feet. But if he leaves that neck exposed, Grant Dawson could find it very easily because his submission game's off the charts. Love Bobby Green. Love the style. Love he dresses crazy. He talks crazy. And he always brings the fight. But I think this is a bad style for him, honestly. I think Grant Dawson's probably improving on the feet more than you would think. I just don't think he ever has to show it. He's at a phenomenal camp and, gets Bobby Green on the ground. I think Green could be in a lot of trouble, especially early in this fight. The one knock I do, not even a knock on Grant Dawson, but there are fights you've seen him get really, really tired in 3-round fights. If he gets really tired here, that could be bad news because Bobby Green's got pretty good cardio. And if Grant Dawson can't get the takedowns in rounds 4 and 5, I think Green could really turn up the volume and piece him up. But for the pick, I'm going Grant Dawson. I think he does just fine in this one.
Yeah, I've been a big Grant Dawson guy for his last 3 fights, especially after that one against Jared Gordon. He had that draw against Ricky Glenn, who's also on this card. And what we saw in that one was he kind of gassed out in the 3rd round, and that was a 10-8 round, 3rd round, I believe, and that's why it was a draw. But then he switches camp, goes to American Top Team, and comes back against Jared Gordon, round 3 submission win there, and then goes against Mark Madsen, another round 3 submission, and then Ismagulov, just complete domination in that fight, which was damn near a pick 'em. I mean, 12 minutes of control time in that one. He looks really dang good. I mean, the grappling is just off the charts. When he gets you down, like you're not getting back up. And I was listening to an interview of him, and I forget who it was with, so I apologize for that. But he laid it out perfectly, like what he's got to do in this fight. So that's really encouraging to look at, because a lot of times, grapplers may want to prove themselves on the feet, but he knows that's where he has the advantage in this one. And he's like, I just got to pick my spots. Once I get him on the ground, I know he's not going to get up because I have that level of top control on the ground. And Ismagulov is somewhat of a similar opponent as to Bobby Green. Not a lot of power, going to really try to put the volume on you, good jab, and work around the outside. Actually has some pretty good grappling himself. So that's really encouraging for Grant Dawson. For Bobby Green, I just look at where he's been in these fights. Like, he's not really coming through as an underdog in a lot of these fights. A lot of the fights that he's winning, he's usually a favorite. And this one, he's a big dog. He's also got a loss to Thiago Moises, who is Grant Dawson's best buddy at American Top Team. That was back in 2020. So Thiago can get it done back then. I think Grant Dawson comes in here and gets it done. I do believe if he gets him to the ground, I do think he could sub him. Bobby Green, he's been fairly durable as far as not getting finished. He's only been subbed twice in his long career. And we saw against Islam, that was a short notice fight. But once Islam got him on the ground, he didn't have the best way to get out of it. And I think Grant Dawson, if he gets him down, like he said, I don't think he's getting back up. So I think he'll just try to wear him down. I would maybe even think, round 2, round 3, round 4 subs type thing. The ground and pound isn't crazy for Grant on top. He's just going to look to stay on top and flow through those exchanges. So I do think he probably gets a submission, probably round 2, round 3, round 4. Round 3 would probably be where I'd put it at the best. But yeah, I got to go with Grant in this one. I think he's good. I think he's, if you have that in your pocket where you have just a really strong grappling game, that's always something that people are going to fear. Bobby Green may be a little bit more hesitant on the feet to throw anything, throw kicks, stuff like that, because he don't want to get caught and get taken down. So I like Grant, and I think he gets it done here. Kind of a weird matchup, though. Going back from, Demir, Bobby Green's not ranked. I think they just needed a main event here because it was kind of short notice. And I think Dawson gets a good spot for another dub here. I'll take him.